Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business of Business podcast. I'm Roy. We are the show that brings you a wide range and diverse set of professionals that can help you in your business. Everything from marketing and sales to finance and HR issues. And, not only do we want to spark some ideas, maybe some things that you haven't thought about, but also, if there are things that you have been thinking about, we want to give you some professionals that can really help take you to the next level, help you solve the problems, make your business run smoother and be more profitable. So today we're also we're lucky to have two guests. We had one gentleman that had been on a few weeks ago, and such a great conversation. We decided to bring him back and an additional somebody that works for him as well. So we'll give a short introduction here. Sir Sanju Ganglani, he is the founder of Gang and Lani Media, serving the global business community across Canada, US, Europe, and Africa for the past 10 years. The company specializes in serving clients in marketing, traditional and digital, with primary focus on search engine optimization, social media, design and branding, print and website development. Also, we've a special guest today, Natalia Armani. She is the social media manager, digital marketing consultant, and influencer. Her goal is for every person that she meets is to regain their hope in people, love, community, and oh my gosh, what a job you have cut out for you there, especially with social media and some of the crazy stuff that's going on around here for the last couple of weeks. But want to thank both y'all for being on, and also just give a disclaimer. We live fairly close to an Air Force base, so you may have just heard one of our fighter jets screaming over that. It's awesome. It's the sound of freedom. I know it kind of breaks up a podcast every now and then, but we love to hear them. So we'll have to endure and talk around that. But thank you both for taking time out of your day to be with us. Sanju, we had such an awesome conversation last time, so I know you wanted to come back and bring Natalia on and kind of focus a little bit. I think we're going to jump off a little bit on social media to begin. So many topics to talk about and so little time. So let's get into that. One thing is 2020, we finally got that behind us, and we're looking ahead to 2021. So what are some of the differences that we're going to see in how we use social media and what we see on social media?
So I think if we want to compare how 2020 looked and how it's going to be looking like in 2021, I think 2020 was a really good year to really introduce and to focus on the use of videos. I think 2020 was really that year that emphasized videos and video content. And I think because of that foundation, apps like TikTok have arisen, or, ads with videos. And at the end of the day, I'm always the kind of person that says, if you're going to decide between posting a picture or a video, 100 times over, always post a video.
Yeah. Well, you also saw modification. Yeah, the modification with like Instagram, right? They added reels. All these little things that promoted video or encouraged you to post more video content. Like Nat said, it became more of the trend, right?
Mm-hmm. And then that even also would transpire with IGTVs, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think the funny thing is I feel like Instagram, because Instagram really is the main hub, I would say. Of course, Facebook is, but Instagram is the real star. And I just find it very interesting because with the implementation of IGTV, I feel like that was a way for us to get used to actually watching longer content and spending more time on these platforms, kind of like YouTube or Netflix in that sense. So I found it so interesting when it juxtaposes with TikTok and Reels, which are quick, clips, so to speak. So I think the difference is 2020 was really based on videos. 2021, I think, is the main focus is really just going to be on building the relationships. So whether it's a reel, a video, or a photo, no matter what that is, I think that the main goal and what people are looking for right now are just real companies with real beliefs and a real foundation underneath it.
Yeah. one thing I've told, and my listeners get tired of hearing me say this, I know, but the difference between text and pictures and then pictures to video, there's really no contest from all the evidence that I've read. And one of my favorite sayings is that, you know, a picture is like leaving a breadcrumb to your blog or to your website or your content, whereas a video is like leaving chocolate covered breadcrumbs to the same content. It's just, you know, it's just that much different. And, you know, I think the one thing you said too that stands out is building relationships. And I think that the video of us, you know, because I've been around for a long time. And so people use stock photos and that doesn't really tell us who they are or much about anything. Whereas the video, you can really connect with somebody with a 30-second video.
You are with a video, you can communicate emotion, and that is the key to marketing. The key to marketing is making people feel the way that you want them to feel, because that's how you relate brands with yourself, right? So it's like saying, for example, why do people buy Chanel perfume? Because, you know, it's a luxurious brand, so they feel luxurious. So Chanel has worked for this brand presence and for this connectivity to happen in your brain, which I think is fascinating.
Right. So, and let's step back a minute to Instagram, because Instagram is probably my favorite platform because I'm very visual, like the pictures. A couple drawbacks that, you know, what I have found, especially with the podcast, because, you know, my goal of marketing, I think the limit is like 45 seconds to a minute of video, if I'm not mistaken, on Instagram. And the drawback to them is you can't put hot links in your description, you know, in order for people just to click through. Mm-hmm. But I still like it. And but if you could tell us a little more, what is IGTV? Seen it, but don't really know a lot about it.
So what it actually does is it addresses the issue that you were just describing about videos not being long enough. So the maximum video that you could post on just, you know, your regular feed in that sense is a minute long. Once you reach past a minute, that's when it turns into an IGTV. So essentially, it's just a longer video. It's more than a minute. Even if it's a minute and 3 seconds, it's still technically an IGTV.
Okay, so I could just still post longer content the same way I post. Okay, because what I've been doing is...
Sorry, so the way that it works is that, let's just say you have a video that's a minute and a half. What it'll do is it'll show a preview on your Instagram feed of a minute. And then once that minute lapses, then it'll send you a little notification that says, you know, watch the rest of the video or see more. And then that's when it'll take you to see the entire IGTV video.
Interesting. Okay, because, you know, many years ago, I tried to, I did some taping of interviews, but that was in the old Skype days. And, you know, the struggle was getting people connected. We'd spend 30 minutes trying to connect a call like this. And then everybody was like tired and like, hey, we don't even want to talk anymore because we're give out from all the technical issues. So, but now everybody, you know, has come pretty accustomed to Zoom. It's easy connection. So the last few months I've been doing it, but you know, I've been taking those videos and cutting them down to, you know, 30 seconds or minutes. So that's awesome to know because it'll give me a chance to post a little bit longer content. Now, let's just look at that in the SEO terms, or maybe the attraction through the Instagram platform. Is a longer video going to gain you any more attention or notoriety, or is it all about the same?
Well, the thing is that the way that, like, if you take a photo and a video we know works better. You get better engagement. You get more people viewing it. So if you have more attention on a video, then that's obviously gonna, you know, SEO or Google is gonna pick up on that a lot more because more people are. It's like, you know, flies. You know, they're gonna go where they go, so to speak, right? Yeah. So in that sense, of course, like, depending on the length of the video, I wouldn't necessarily say that makes a difference for SEO. I just think consistency and quality of videos and the content that you're posting is what's key. That's a really good question, though. I don't think I've had anyone ask me that.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking in context of on Instagram. I didn't know if, you know, like me, most of my interviews are, you know, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. So would it benefit me to, you know, I guess if we're in the middle of a point, it would benefit to like run that an extra 15 to 30 seconds to make the point clear in the video. But as far as any other SEO value, probably about the same as just posting a 1 minute video.
Oh, the better thing for you to do is to post the teaser or the 1 minute video and drive them back to your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right. Because the YouTube channel is where you're going to get the juice out of it, and use the social media side of it to actually attract new followers and new subscribers.
Okay.
So
yeah. So what is the
what you do on Instagram? Those are the breadcrumbs, and then you lead them to the YouTube, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a good point. Is especially with Instagram, because it's a little different, and that's to me the advantage of Facebook is you click on if you post it correctly, you click on it, you're taken right to that content. So what is there any tips or tricks or workarounds that when I post something on Instagram and I want to drive them to my website or to YouTube, is there a way to make that easier?
So no matter if you have 100 followers or 10 million followers, Instagram doesn't allow you to put links in the actual caption. Right. So that's why people usually say, link in bio. So I find that whenever you're writing, this is like a really simple trick, but it actually makes a big difference. So if you're writing link in bio, what I would suggest is to tag yourself right beside where you write link in bio. So people can just click on the link, which brings you back to your profile, even though your name is there and they can just click on it. Sometimes it just doesn't register with people that they could do that. So tag your name again right next to where you say link in bio, and just automatically that will give people an incentive because it's easier. I'll just click on that, and then the bio is just right there. That's a little
awesome. Yeah.
And then of course, like what you could do is then post post your actual video or photo on your story. And then if you do have over 10,000 followers, that's when you have the ability to use the swipe up feature. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. So let's talk about TikTok for just a minute, since we're talking about videos. We had a conversation about that. I'm the old guy that thought that was for dancing teenagers. And then I think Sanju, you told me the story. Was it a glass blower or somebody was telling me that, or some kind of an art person that built things, that they had put snippets of their work that they did up on TikTok, and it had gained some traction. So I guess in the right use of it, it could be a good tool for just about any business.
Well, I kind of fall into that. I'm too old for this category to a little bit to it, but what I would imagine would be ideal is two sides of it. One is leveraging the educational side of it. So when you're selling that piece of art for $10,000, people understand why it's worth $10,000 and how much love and labor went into it. And then the other side is obviously for the younger guys and ladies to, interact and have a social life together and be fun together, right? Especially over the past year, which is probably why it picked up a lot of steam. But I really would defer that back to Nat, I guess, in terms of the best uses or how to take advantage of it.
Yeah, the other thing I think that you made mention is, even if you don't use it, at least go there and secure your name, or make sure
from a branding standpoint, 100%. Yeah, any social platform that generally comes up, we usually recommend that our clients go and at least secure the brand, because you never know, right? TikTok, 6 months ago was supposed to disappear from the face of the earth, right? And suddenly now it's back in full motion, and the people who didn't register what they're supposed to register are having a tough time.
Right.
I mean, if I had to really,
Talia, do you want to go in a little bit? Do you want to go a little deeper on the content and some things that we could do on TikTok?
No, for sure. So I think the reason why I was so turned off of TikTok in the beginning is that I feel like it was, completely transparent, I thought it was a waste of time. I thought it was a complete waste of time, because it's like, for me, what's important is that I look at social media as like a beacon of news, and just to understanding, to open perspective, to learn, right? So I feel like I don't want to go on TikTok and waste my time just scrolling, because essentially I didn't even like the whole concept of just going through videos so quickly, because I feel like it just doesn't, it's almost, it's we spent the entire year of 2020 trying to build the value of videos and trying to increase length and viewership, and then we have another app that just ruins it in 2 seconds. That's how I felt about it, right? And then slowly but surely, after, you know, getting more on the app, I do notice that exactly what Sanju said, and what I was going to say is that what we need to really take advantage of is the educational part. So in the sense that we do have a younger audience on TikTok, and at the end of the day, it is still completely varied, because I have people older than me using TikTok, you know, so to speak. I do think it is an app that really hones in on creativity, which that part I do like. There are so many options that you can do. So it's just cool, because rather than taking just, you know, a regular video that you would take on Instagram, you can be a little bit creative, show different parts of, you know, your product or yourself even, right? Showing yourself in different lights. So I feel like TikTok is an opportunity for you to be a little bit more fun.
Okay. So what are the I guess the restrictions of TikTok as far as the length of video? Is it kind of like posting the same thing? Like I'd make a video either on Zoom or on my iPhone and then upload it to TikTok. Or is there anything special or different about it?
Well, yeah, so it's definitely like meant for shorter videos. You can post videos for 15 seconds to 30 to if it's up to 1 minute, so to speak. But after that really isn't the platform for it. That's why I'm saying to have fun, do little things. I think it's a great way as well, especially if people are thinking, okay, how does, you know, a high-end, you know, professional, you know, a lawyer, an accountant, or a real estate agent, how do they use TikTok? I think TikTok is a great way to show your team, the people that you're working with, you know, show the things that you do on a daily basis, and more of like a lifestyle, I would say. And at the end of the day, it does have the opportunity for you to educate people, and people who are younger, which I do think there's a lack in that, right? So
yeah. You know, one thing when we talk about social media, always it comes up is, you know, you have to live where your audience lives. And I know that, you know, there are different age groups, different genders that hang out at different places. And, you know, I guess the easiest one to think about is like Pinterest, you know, probably higher usage of women in a higher age range. And then, you know, like Facebook, when it first started, it was all younger college kids. And I think now, because there's so many parents and grandparents on there, I think the kids they abandoned it for a while, and maybe it's coming back. But I think the interesting part would be to think about how many platforms does a typical user, not the poster, but the viewer, how many platforms do they view across? Now, you know, I post, because of the podcast, I post on all the channels. And so that kind of puts me on all the channels looking around. Though I'm just saying, for that person who's just sitting on the couch wanting to do a little scrolling through social media, do they stick with one platform? Do they have 2, 3, multiple? Kind of, what are the statistics on that?
they are definitely using all platforms possible. Even if you think about it, just sitting in your living room, if you think about it logically, some people usually have YouTube or Netflix on.
Right.
They probably have their laptop in front of them, maybe streaming something on Spotify or, you know, again on YouTube. Then you can have their phone where they have access to Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. You know, the list can go on and on. You know, there's other, you know, Clubhouse is a really big app that people are going on right now too. And just there's more and more things. So honestly, probably at a time, I would say at least 3 or 4, at least.
Okay. So what is Clubhouse? I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
So Clubhouse,
I'm going to tell you right now, Natalia, you're supposed to be coming on here making it easier for me, not throwing more things out here, clogging me up more.
So Clubhouse is actually pretty cool. So it's basically, I like to call it like a live podcast.
Okay.
So essentially you can join rooms, which every room has a specific topic. So you can look at topics anywhere from marketing to health to, you know, moms, to anything you can really find that it's really on Clubhouse. So essentially you're in this room and there's other people there and you're just talking to each other, asking each other questions, you know, literally like a podcast that's live with other people.
Okay. Kind of like in the olden days, they had like stack lines, I guess, where you could pick up the phone when you called a central number, and there may be 12 people, basically talking on that, I guess, except you can see them. So is there always like somebody live who is the kind of the head of it and putting out the content, or is it just
a moderator? You have a moderator and a person who owns, the room. So like you could have people can follow you, so to speak. So the way that works is that you, in order to, have your own chat, like your own room, basically, you need to be hosting sessions a couple times a week. And then eventually people are able, to follow you, you get more recognition, the community grows from there. But Clubhouse is a great way to network and to really bring forth, especially if you have a business and you want to, pitch to people. There's celebrities go on there, Grant Cardone, all these people in tech. It really is a great opportunity.
So is it true that it's by invite only and Apple only at this point?
So I know for sure it's invite only. Whether it's Apple only, I am not 100% sure. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure that it's open to. Yeah. I would say probably it's Apple only, but that's because Sanju and I have a little, between Apple and Samsung, but we'll keep that for another day.
You might
but yeah,
win.
it is invite only.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to fall on the Apple side of that. Unfortunately, that's the one I got started with, and I'm just like so not afraid of change, but like I just don't have the time to try to figure out some other device right now. But speaking of devices, an interesting thing happened not long ago. I just thought YouTube would be a good advertising platform to do some. I don't know all the technical terms, but to do the non-repeat, where you just have the little ad where people can skip it or something like that. And the original one of the second or third one I added, I messed up and selected a European audience, which wasn't bad. I mean, I still was getting some hits and it was good. But the one thing I noticed about them is that almost 75% of the viewership was on TV, on a TV device, not on a handheld or computer, which, it's a little bit, here in the States, it's mostly phones, tablets, and then we may get on a computer every now and then. But I just thought it was an interesting use that they, I guess, go on their TV boxes a lot and try to pick up. So you just kind of, just to expand that, if you're doing something that's global, you kind of have to think about that, when you develop something, is how do the users intake this? It's not like the old days, it was all PC, so you built websites that were PC based, and then when phones came out, it's like you got the very middle part of it. It wasn't optimized for the phone. I think they've worked pretty much most of the kinks out of that through WordPress and some other things that I guess you can hard code. But when we start expanding across the world, it's also, take into consideration what your audience is going to be viewing when you're ad.
Well, yeah, something so simple as format makes a big difference, because the size that YouTube needs is different from what Instagram stories needs, which is different from what feeds need, which are different from IGTV. So it's all different, right? So sometimes you could have, what I like to say is, at the end of the day, we have probably maybe 3 seconds to get people to stop scrolling or not.
Right.
So in those 3 seconds, if they see something is off, you've lost them.
Right.
So there are very, very small decisions that you have to take in order to properly post it. I don't think people understand how much of a science that it actually, there is to actually just posting a simple photo and the work that takes, behind it. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. Format is definitely a very big difference. And at the end of the day, you have to optimize for each platform. So the same way you start off with your podcast, that's usually how the funnel goes. You start off with podcasts, you post a video on YouTube, you post snippets on Instagram, and on Facebook, you post the entire thing, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tools out there now. Like for me, I didn't post the videos for a while because I couldn't manipulate them, and I finally found me a nice tool where I could just cut a slice out of it, drop a thumbnail over it, and go on. But you're right about that, because So through my podcast host, I have this thing called, it's like an audiogram where they take my podcast cover and use it for a cover and they do the audio behind it. But it's in the square format. So when you try to translate that to YouTube, which is more of a rectangle, you have to be careful because now all of a sudden I had black space on both sides and cut the top and the bottom off of it. So, to your point, you do have to pay attention. And I use another program to develop some of the cover pieces, I don't know, poster-like material. The nice thing is they ask you right up front, where you're going to be using it, like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, because they size it. So I think to your point, it is very important to pay attention to that, because if you have something, especially if you're professional, if you have something that's all kind of wonky on there, people are going to doubt your ability right from the very beginning because they saw this thing that wasn't right.
Exactly. And right then and there, that's like I said, it was 3 seconds and you lost somebody.
Exactly.
It's the reality.
So another thing that we had talked a little bit about was posting, and the number of times I'm all over this. I mean, there are times I think that, less is more, and then there are times when I kind of slide back into the more is more. So give me your professional opinion on that, and then we can talk about it. I'll share some of my thoughts with you.
So the key that I tell everybody who ever asks me is that consistency is more important than posting every single day. So I rather you take the time to make, quality posts. Start anywhere from 2 or 3 times a week maximum. Do that for a couple weeks, get things ready. I always say if you could be, ahead of your content and plan it that way, then you're best, because rather than focusing on what you have to post every day, you're now focusing on how to engage with it and how to push it. So that's why I always say start with 2 to 3 times, because the reason why is that you can't start off posting every single day when you're new, when you have a new social profile, because people will get annoyed of you really quick. So you need that happy medium where you're not completely, disappearing, but at the same time, you're still there, you're checking in, dropping value, bringing those quality posts. Right. And then at the end of the day, what people start doing is that they'll start expecting you to post, and they'll look for that. So what I don't want is for people to get used to you posting every single day. And then when you can't keep up with it, then you lose followers because people don't really, that trust and that thought that, what, I'm going to be getting something daily every day from this person, and they don't get it, then you kind of have a disconnect there.
Yeah.
So start small, go 2 to 3 times and work your way up.
Yeah, and that's consistent with, the podcast too, is that if you do make a commitment to a podcast, you've got to, whatever you set your schedule at, you've got to stay on it, because people, luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had this problem, but I know a guy that put a podcast out and he got sick for a couple of weeks, and oh my gosh, his audience turned on him. I thought they were gonna, riot because he didn't put any podcast out. And so it's very important, to your point, that consistency, because people get to where they look for it. But so here's my dilemma, my argument, my point. I will try to make my case here. With social media nowadays, our content burns off so fast. Back in the olden days, when there were 5 of us on, Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it was pretty easy, because when you signed on, it's like, well, there's not that much content out there. But now everybody's posting, everybody's taking pictures, videos, whatever. So it's like it burns through. On the other side of that coin, if you have, let's just take Facebook. If you have people that have liked your page or joined your page or group or whatever, well, now if you're posting 12 times a day, it's like they're getting pinged 12 times a day, and they don't like that. They're like, oh my God, I can't stand it. So you lose followers. So I'm just thinking from, like my show's perspective, we're still in a growth phase, and I would love to add, more subscribers and people to social media for me. So I try to walk the line between pushing enough content out there so somebody that doesn't know about me can see me, versus not angering those that are already attached to me in some way. So kind of open that discussion up and see, am I wrong about thinking that if I push more and more content out there, I'm going to get in front of people who may not be aware of me?
I think it's more about, like Nat said, the quality of the content, right? If you're providing back value, if you're providing back something that they want to hear or talk about, and you have an opinion that is firm, but obviously respectful, I think you'll get a lot more traction than posting, hey, look, take a big picture of my ice cream. Hey, look, I just ate a burger. Hey, look, whatever, there's a bird. And I'll let Nat finish it off, but that's sort of where I would go with it, especially in your world where there are a lot of podcasts and there are a lot of people vying for attention. Being able to bring back a certain piece of value, which you do. I mean, your stuff is pretty awesome. I think will really help you grow much quicker and get that exposure that you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where the whole notion of relationships come, right? So if you are dropping, value, and at the end of the day, with the way that 2020 transpired, we can't be walking on eggshells anymore. People need, I'm the kind of person that says, if you do believe in something, don't be on the fence. Say it. It's almost as if, like how, we young people say it with your chest, so to speak, Yeah. But it's really about showing your stance, because that's the difference that this world needs. We have too many people who don't talk about an issue directly and, kind of lose sight of what the real message is. So I think that's where the change is going, is that now people are expecting this from businesses. People want to know, okay, what are you doing with your, simple things? What are you guys recycling? Simple things about, going green and that sort of thing. It makes a difference.
Yeah, Sanju, to your point, the last couple of weeks with all that's transpired here in the States, it's like, I posted responded to somebody else's post. I'm like, I wish we could go back to the old days where we just posted, what we were having for lunch. It was, it was much quieter. But, I think it's somewhat generational. And I think people like myself are having a hard time breaking out of that, because we were conditioned, when the internet came out, professional, don't ever let your personal side out, keep everything. But when we look at what are we trying to do, we're trying to build relationships. So if I never share my personality with you, well, how can we ever, get connected and really engage? Because if I keep it all in, you reach out to me to do business, you'll find out you don't like me, pretty quickly. So I think maybe, I hate to say hide, but I don't think we should, hide our emotions and our feelings that we need to, if we do believe in something.
And look at it as going to a party, right? And you're going to a party, meet a whole bunch of new people or even old friends. There's still a certain part of you that you understand isn't lines you'd cross or places you'd cross with people, right? And I think it's sort of the same thing online. What I think is going to become a problem going forward is, all of our, our kids or teenagers that are out there right now are doing things, not understanding the potential consequences of what it brings up 10 years from now, because of everything that gets archived, because of everything that, it doesn't go anywhere. You delete your Facebook page, it's still there, right? So, people not under, and maybe later on that may never be an issue later on, who knows? But there's still a bias or stigma that's brought up by researching someone and seeing, them half drunk at a party or whatever it is, or, commenting on something that you're like, this doesn't align with my values, though that was their personality 10 years ago. They're not the same person, right? So I think that's
important. And and that's important, a point to make. And I'll tell you, because this is a business show, we talk a lot about a lot of different subjects in HR. And so one place where this became very evident to me about 4 or 5 years ago is, I was trying to hire a media person to help me do some stuff, and interviewed 4 or 5 people, thought I'd made a decision. I had somebody that called me at the very last minute and said, oh my gosh, I really want this. Had an awesome resume. And so I met with them late on a Friday night at the coffee shop, and I thought, wow, this is the perfect person. So I changed my mind, but I wanted this person, but I didn't make an immediate offer. I said, let me think about it for a day and I'll tell you. So I went home and started searching social media. And of course, this is a long time ago, but I found a hidden, or not a hidden, but a Facebook page that really wasn't in her name, but somehow related to her. And then there was a very, I can't even tell you, but it was a very compromising picture of her. And I was like, wow, I almost made a huge mistake. And so two things. Number one, doing the research on people is what I always suggest is, we need to market for talent. So we need to see always how people are interacting with other people, what they're posting, will they be a good fit for our company culture? But on the flip side of that is, we have to be careful and realize that nothing is hidden or sacred, and that stuff lives forever out there. And sometimes it's very unforgiving.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, what would you do? You do a background check. Like, what are you going to find? Are you going to find is, did you do something illegal or not? That's really the bottom line. Now right. It's like, I know what she did last summer kind of thing, right? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Creepy stalker stuff going on, right?
Well, like that's why
what
I feel like
in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas,
right?
I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, it's fine. I'm always up to interruptions when it's a joke, no problem. But I do find it's interesting that like saying how like the difference between personalities and our business. I feel like now there is no difference, there is no separation.
Right.
People need to know so often people do business with specific people just because they like them.
Yeah. Right.
So that's really, really important.
Yeah, and that's what we say in sales is that people, they do business with you because they like you. If everything else is fairly equal, and a lot of times they'll pay more money because they like you, they like the interaction, they like the way that you treat them and follow up. So yeah, definitely.
And then even, excuse me, following your point that you're talking about being, careful with who you do business with, I feel like if we're gonna like transition into talking about influencers, I think that is something that's really, really big that's going to be happening more in 2021. The fact that influencers, even like with myself, I find that I'm very, very careful with who I do business with or I do collaborations with, because at the end of the day, we all have to protect our brand and talk about how we can connect with more people all around.
Yeah, and it's kind of guilt by association. If you get hooked up with the wrong person, unfortunately, their poor reputation can cast a wide shadow on other people that may be innocent bystanders or just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So definitely, I think the who we're linked to on social media now has become like what your parents used to say about who you hang out with at school. Don't hang out with the wrong crowds, or be careful, because whatever they do can damage your reputation. And so I think we have to take that into consideration nowadays, on the internet as well.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. I think reputation association is such an easy thing to break now. And it's so easy to see through BS, right? With all the tools that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, and I tell people, be genuine. That's all it really takes, because people are going to make decisions whether they like you or not, and you can't hide from that. So just be who you are. The people that you want to be connected with, they will embrace you and like you. And the other people, we don't really. It's not really a point whether they care or not, because they're not our customers. They're not going to do business with us anymore.
Yeah, it's of no consequence.
Well, that's why I think if we're, going to talk about what we were saying previously about not walking on eggshells anymore, at the end of the day, if you're a company that believes in something and that's what you set your foundation on, and you project that onto other people and share that message with others, and if they're not accepting of it, then at the end of the day, they weren't your customer, they weren't your client in the first place.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah, and gets back to, we talked, kind of touched on the stock photos, and that's something, I talk about a lot, is that I think businesses need to get out from under that and start showing more, of themselves. Take pictures of your staff, of your own equipment, of your own building facilities, because it just, to me, it speeds up this process of getting to know each other versus, going and buying a, stock cartoonish picture and posting somewhere. And I still have to, it's harder for me, I'm not lying when I say that, it's harder for me to let that go, because I've been, for so many years of the internet growing up, you've been told to protect that and not do it. So I'm not going to tell you that I'm good at that. I still struggle with it, but I think that's something that we've got to overcome. In the pandemic, there's, as we're talking, there's vaccines coming out and there's things that are changing, but I'm still a little concerned about how long this is going to last. And so instead of being able to get together in social environments to get to know people, or, in-person environments, social media, for right this moment anyway, it's going to be a large part of having that introductory process and getting to know each other to build relationships.
And I really think the stock photo thing, that's not an evil thing, right? It depends on the industry, and it depends on what you're trying to convey. Some things, no matter how much you try to photograph it, you can't convey that experience or feeling, right? And maybe it's already ready. But people like, let's say, a doctor's office or a chiropractor or a dentist, you can't put stock photos up because, number one, they're gonna be like, that's not your practice. Number two, hey, I want to work with that hygienist. Number three, like, there's so many issues behind it. But if you use it for, let's say, someone who's a vacation luxury guy and he wants to convey the joy of someone eating on the beach, cool, right? Use a stock photo, no problem, right? So I think there's a bit of a balance in terms of how they're used and where they're used. And then also, to be fair, the frequency they're used. If every single image is stock photos, then, obviously, there's a component of laziness there that maybe should be reconsidered.
They should be calling us.
There you go. Right there. Yep.
Yeah. So the internet, or let's not say the internet as a whole, but let's say platforms have gotten very noisy. I mean, especially with the last year, people are more time on their hands or taking advantage of it. But let's talk about for just a minute I don't know what you would even call it, just like a 15 to 30 second video filming of your iPhone, like, you had some epiphany today, and so now you're going to get on and share it with the world. Are these advisable? I mean, I guess it depends on the context and a lot of things, but just in general, are those drawing attention? Is there so many of them that people are just blowing them all off?
So I'm going to go first because I know Nat's going to give a serious answer. I absolutely get annoyed so badly about those things. Like, I'll literally be sitting next to my wife and she'll be going through her Instagram stories and I'm like, who is this and why do I care? I'm like, why do I have to listen to this right now? Right. And so yes, to everybody, there's an audience, things that you should be telling maybe your family, friends over the phone that maybe people don't necessarily care about. I don't like it when you're being forced to care about it. Right. From a serious standpoint, I guess I'll leave it to Nat, but that's my little spiel on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I didn't catch on what Roy said because it kind of cut out for me.
Yeah. So what he's asking, he's saying, when you have an epiphany or you have something really valuable that you want to share. Let's say you get up in the morning like, oh my God, I just figured out how to bake cheese in another whatever, right? Make waffles look like Mickey Mouse. Is it make sense or is it of any value to go online and post that right away or share that with the world, or like, how do you handle that?
For me, I think it's what your intention is behind it. So for me, for example, sometimes I'm very big on motivation. I'm very big on positivity. And I post that, those kind of things on my Instagram. So for me, I had posted the other day, I was making breakfast. And so I eat plantain. So I was very happy because my plantain was ripe and ready for me to eat. And it's like an avocado. Like when you buy avocados, like you have to wait so long for them to ripen. So I had posted on my Instagram, well, you know what? Life is good. my plantains are ripe. Right. So it's like, for me, it's my goal behind that, little Instagram story was to show people how happiness is a choice. You can, choose to be happy about certain things and let that, transpire throughout. But I think it all depends on what you're trying to show people, or what you want to tell. At the end of the day, people are going to see through it or not.
Yeah. And I'm just conflicted because 2, 3, 4 years ago, I did more of them. I would put them out, but then to Sanju's point, I've got some people I know that I follow now that it's like every day I'm like, oh yeah, I can't get past it fast enough, because I'm like, and maybe it's just because their message isn't to me, or maybe it's my personal feeling. I don't know what that's about, but because I do suggest it to, customers or people that I talk about. I'm like, if you can be genuine and real and have a good point to convey, there's no better way to do it. But then on the other hand, I've gotten to the point, I feel like it's one of those things that everybody's doing it, so it gets discounted to some point. It's not like it was 3
Yeah, I mean, like, if
years
you're gonna
ago.
sit here and tell me that you saw a lady in the grocery store wearing pink pants and you thought they really weren't flattering to her, like, I don't care. If you're gonna sit here and tell me, hey, listen, I figured out the formula of how much of your marketing budget you should be spending based on the revenue that you're accumulating, and if you follow this formula, you can raise investment. Hey, now we're talking something, right? Sensible.
Right.
So I think that's really different. And again, that may come down to personality and preference. Like, maybe that's just my mindset versus somebody's interested in the pink pants in the grocery store, right? Like, personality is personality, I guess, right?
At the end of the day, I do think, and the beauty of marketing is that there's a story to everything, right? So that's where, the serious side of me comes out, because at the end of the day, it's important to address these things, and it's important to, like, Instagram is not only just supposed to be about perfection. And I think that's something that not a lot of people understand. It's not just about, the perfect picture or the perfect video. And I think oftentimes, if you want to even think bigger than that, so often we don't try, or we don't go ahead of things because we don't think they're perfect. And the whole point of Instagram is to show the realness and the raw, the raw behind the scenes and the way things actually look like.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, like, I think we can say
that when the plantains aren't ripe.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said, like, how she flips out when her plantains aren't ripe.
Right. Well, I think we might need to take, talk about this from the viewer's perspective for a minute, because it's become a thing that, people view only perfection on the internet. And so they're like, well, why is my best life not this perfection? Now, just like me, I got this shirt on and I might take a picture of it right this moment, but not 30 minutes ago when I had it buttoned wrong and it was all jacked up. People don't post, like you said, we don't post the imperfection. And I think that's, a big message to users, or to the, the viewers or the consumers of this content, is a lot of times people don't post those imperfections. They're only posting the high points of their life. There's a lot of imperfection in between.
Agreed, but I'd argue, not to get too deep into it, but I'd argue that that's been our culture, right? Whether it's been print media or now transitioning to digital media, you're never seeing what's wrong or what shouldn't be, right? Or what it took to get there. Right. And I think that's just culturally, that's what we want to consume, is that perfect lifestyle. And obviously it drives the other half of us crazy, because they're like, why are you competing with someone that doesn't actually exist, right?
Because they themselves don't even look like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, the podcast comparisons, befores and afters, and the reality versus, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and so many times we view somebody as a overnight success, where they're not. They've been working on this image or this product or this thing, for many, many years. It just all of a sudden it blew up. And so a lot of times I don't think, especially kids coming out of school nowadays, is that there's a lot of hard work that goes into stuff. I'm not saying that people don't get lucky, post a video, it goes viral, and like, hey, you're a big star. That does happen, I know, but for the most part.
But then what do they do with that, though? Because you can go viral, but then what do you do with that afterwards? You got to go to work.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And I still strongly
you got to go
there's a big piece of fake it till you make it behind that, right? There are a lot of people that go viral, but really they've paid to go viral, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just weird. I'm sorry. We've gotten way long. I know this has just been a good conversation, but that's another good point that we could talk about for just a minute. That I think me and Sanju got into it for a little bit, but the vanity metrics versus metrics that really count. And again, it depends on what we're trying to do. If you want to be a social media star, then I guess likes are an awesome thing. I got I got 300 likes on a post the other day, took them to the grocery store, and they wouldn't exchange those for food. And so I think if you're trying to, if you're trying to sell a product or a service, I get these ads all the time. Send me $500 and I'll get you all these likes and this exposure. And it's like, well, if that's not my customer, it doesn't matter. So anyway, I'll turn that over to y'all, the professionals, to talk about the vanity metrics versus things that really matter.
I'll outsource it to Nat.
Yeah. So two things there. I think you get what you're looking for, and depending on how you think, you're going to interpret it a certain way. So for me, for example, I don't follow celebrities on Instagram. I literally I almost don't have. My Instagram is primarily food, marketing, business, and memes. Yeah. That's it, right? So I think that, so it's like for me, when I see these things, when I see perfect, the way people look or their bodies or, men and women, like all these things, I think that at the end of the day, it's how you see it and what lens do you look through it. And so often than not, people don't see how easy it is to portray yourself a certain way or to portray yourself like you have a lot of followers or whatever it is. And in reality, they don't. And I know these little tricks because you could see people, for example, that have 40,000 followers, and then you'll go on their photos and they don't even have 100 people liking them.
Right.
So this is where we go down and we talk about bots and we talk about people buying, followers or likes and that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, that is only going to make what you do in the future so much more difficult because you're taking steps backward. Because although that people are saying, oh yeah, because I get this all the time where people say, we can, get you followers that are in your target market and yada, yada, yada. And at the end of the day, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that you're going to get these followers and they're going to engage with you because it's not real. It wasn't a real connection that was made. So to do that, just to see how it more of like a surface level, like appearance sort of thing, or like a first impression, I personally would say, just don't do it. Don't do it. There's something that's not genuine there. And as soon as someone sees that, they're, completely turned off. They don't want any part of it. Right. So I always like to say, you know what, start organic and stop worrying about how many followers you have or how many likes you get.
Right.
What you need to worry about is, how am I talking to people? What am I saying to them? And who am I talking to?
Yeah, and I think it goes to the point of do something that you like too, because if you're just struggling out there to get some likes or whatever, and you're doing something you hate, it's just like this podcast. I mean, in the very beginning, not too many likes, listeners, and it can get very discouraging. But I believe in it. I enjoy it. I meet so many great people that over time, things have changed, and I do see that growth. But again, what I need to do, I want to get y'all back on in the not too distant future, because I think we talk about some things that we could kind of map out. We need a roadmap for our marketing, social media included, and we need to really think that out where we have quality balance with quantity, but then the consistency, what's the message that we're trying to put out there, and really develop a content calendar of what we're going to do, so we don't wake up every morning and think, I got to do something today, and you do something crazy, inconsistent, poor quality, a lot of things like that. Where if we're planning this out, it gives us a lot of time to think about, to write thoughtfully, you know, like we said, convey that there's a solution, not just that, you know, hey, if you're a business, you should be marketing. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much everybody knows that. But if we say, you know, how much you should be spending or the details of that, that's what people want to listen to. So
Great.
I'll make y'all a deal. I will let y'all go for today if y'all promise me that we can reconvene this in a not too distant future and get off a little bit deeper in some of these things.
Love to.
Yeah, I would love to.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much. Before we go, I'm gonna get it from both of y'all. So what's a tool, a ritual, a habit? What's something that y'all each do in your daily life, and it can be professional or personal, that you just you feel adds a lot of value to your life, something that you couldn't do without?
To me personally, I try to learn one new thing every day. So whether that's as small as a new change in an SEO algorithm to as large as, you know, learning a whole new skill set.
Awesome.
I think for me, it would really be to find at least one thing that I'm appreciative for. Because I think we oftentimes get stuck into our routines, into our habits, or get stuck into the stresses of what we're doing. And we need the reminder to kind of say, okay, but there's a reason why we're doing it. So something as me being appreciative for my plantain being ripe and ready, you know, that was something that I did.
Yeah, I think that, you know, kind of adding on to that, something that I am trying to turn around in my life is that, you know, being appreciative for the small gains that we make in the day. Not every day is going to be conquering, you know, the highest mountain. Some days we're lucky just to stay on the mountain. And at the end of the day, you know, if I got 10 things on my list to do and I only get 3 done, I need to be grateful for those 3 and not beat myself up. You know, we don't need to beat ourselves up. We only carry that into tomorrow and that negative reinforcement. So I think gratitude, especially during these trying times where we're getting into a new year, fresh start, and you know, things are looking awesome. So we need to cut ourselves some slack and let our shortcomings just go, but be happy for what we can accomplish. So anyway, also y'all tell us who is your customer, how y'all can help them, and then of course how they can reach out and get a hold of y'all.
So from my perspective, our customer is anyone who's looking to grow their business in a way that involves a bit of strategy and a path forward. You can reach me through LinkedIn, look up Sanju Ganglani, SANJU Ganglani, or askusforanything.com, or I'll let Nat handle the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at GNL Media. And then you can just send us a message, comment on one of our posts. We can get in touch with each other, or you could even send us an email directly through that as well. And you will find Sanju's personal Instagram there as well. And you'll definitely find mine there too. So it's just our name.
Okay. Well, again, y'all have been fantastic. A lot of great information. And I certainly do appreciate y'all taking time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you for having us.
You can find us at www.thebusinessofbusinesspodcast.com. Also, we've just added the TBOBP. The initials for that came available. So the short form is TBOBP.com. Also, we're on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then this, once we put this up live, the video will be on YouTube as well. So until next time, take care of yourself and definitely take care of each other. Thanks.